Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kerryoth and we're going to talk a little bit about Titanfall 2. Now I know what you're thinking, what the hell is this in the background? This does not look like Titanfall 2. Where are the mechs? Why is this set in World War 1? What the hell is going on? Well, the background footage isn't Titanfall 2, and I'm going to explain why. And I'm going to explain why I think Titanfall 2 has been somewhat shafted by EA, and how actually I think it deserves a lot more than what it's getting, in a certain respect, at least. So, as we all know, Titanfall 2 is the follow-up, obviously, to Titanfall, where you are a pilot and you pilot giant mechs, and you've got run and gun style, FPS, warfare, and then occasionally you call down a giant robot, control it, and punch the shit out of people. Or in the case of one of the mechs now, I believe you've got a sword and you can phase through other mechs and stab them in the back, which sounds awesome. But where's the marketing? Where's the spend? Where's the hype? Where's the push? What's happened to Titanfall 2? Why are we seeing articles saying that Titanfall 2... That's my phone going off, I do apologise, how unprofessional. Saying that Titanfall 2 is falling behind in terms of projected sales. Why are we seeing stuff saying that Titanfall 2 is not performing as well as it should do? Especially for a brand new title. You'd expect it to be off the charts. The first one was pretty well received, and Titanfall 2 is receiving ridiculous reviews across the board. People are loving it. So where the hell is it? What's happened? Why is it, by all accounts, not selling as well as it should? Well, the answer's actually really, really simple. What came out last... What, not last week? A week and a bit ago? On October 21st? That would be Battlefield 1. What comes out tomorrow? That would be Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, the two biggest FPS titles on a yearly schedule. One of them released a week ago, the other one is releasing tomorrow, and with a release date of October 28th, Titanfall 2 falls pretty much exactly a week between each. You've got a 2-week gap between the releases, and Titanfall 2 is smack bang in the middle of it. Now, why is this a bad thing? Well, I probably don't need to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you anyway, just in case. You cannot do massive marketing and do a massive push on two games simultaneously as a publisher. Releasing these two titles like within this closer time frame as each other is absolute madness, because all of the marketing spend, all of the push, all of the hype, all of the adverts, just all of the advertising as a whole has gone on Battlefield 1. I can count on the fingers of one hand how many times I've seen an advert for Titanfall 2 on either television or on like watching YouTube on my Chromecast downstairs. And it's literally 4 adverts I've seen. In the space of the last maybe 3 days, I've seen 4 Titanfall adverts total. 3 of the podcasts I watch, in fact, have been sponsored by Battlefield 1. Every video advert I get on YouTube right now is an advert for Battlefield 1. Every single Twitter advert I get on my phone and like on my iPad are Battlefield 1. Okay? And I'm not talking scrolling through and EA is tweeting about it. I'm talking actual adverts. It's being pushed crazy. And in fact, I do follow EA and they are tweeting adverts as well, thinking about it. But I'm not seeing the same for Titanfall 2. I'm only seeing it for Battlefield 1. And the reason why is simple. You cannot divert marketing spend from a title as huge as Battlefield 1. It's your big flagship yearly release. It is... especially with the change of direction for that franchise. Well, although I say that, there's going to be a review of the game coming up tomorrow, where actually saying a change of direction is kind of laughable, but a change of setting at the very least. A huge amount of hype and a huge amount of advertising, a huge amount of time and effort has gone into telling you exactly what Battlefield 1 is, and exactly why you should buy it. Nowhere near that amount of effort has been put into advertising Titanfall 2. Absolutely nowhere near. Because they can't afford to do it. They can only afford to really, really, really slam out one game, and it's gonna be the big flagship product, isn't it? So why release Titanfall 2 when they did? Why have EA pushed out Titanfall 2 a mere week after Battlefield 1, and a week before Call of Duty Infinite Warfare? What is the purpose of that? What did they hope to achieve? Well, it's pretty simple. They hoped to dent the sales of Call of Duty through a combined action of Battlefield and Titanfall 2. They wanted to take some of the market share from their rival game by releasing 2 titles, one of which is now significantly different, and it is, and one of which is actually sort of similar, if you disregard the giant mech part. But that was never going to work, and I could have told them that was never going to work, because people at this stage will have their minds made up. You've got to look at how much people have got to spend, and where people's loyalties lie. You are a hardcore Call of Duty fan. You've been playing Call of Duty for years, all of your friends play Call of Duty. If there's one game you know you're going to buy, every year, without fail, you have the money set aside for it, it is Call of Duty. That's where a huge amount of like Call of Duty's repeat custom comes from. People who are now locked into the franchise, their friends are locked into the franchise, their clans are locked into the franchise. They play Call of Duty, they buy the next one next year, they play that until the next one releases next year, and they move on to that one. Rinse, repeat, every 365 days. Easy. Simple. Done. They're not going to buy Titanfall 2. Unless they're flush with cash, unless they've got a bit extra at the end of October, before they go into November, where their guaranteed spend is about to happen, they're not going to grab Titanfall 2. Why would they? Oh, it's like Call of Duty, but it's got mechs. They're not going to be interested. The inclusion of a single-player campaign is great for Titanfall 2, and something that should be advertised far more. But the fact is that you're getting a 6-hour campaign, and you're trying to market it to a crowd who are interested in the multiplayer. Because when I say that hardly anyone gives a shit about Call of Duty's campaign, I mean it. A huge number of the fan base of Call of Duty do not give a shit about the single player. They are not interested. Some of the biggest channels out there, I mean, Ali, I'm pretty sure it was only like, what, a year and a half, 2 years ago, that he actually played a Call of Duty campaign for the first time. He only ever played multiplayer, I'm pretty sure it was Ali. So many people are like that. So many people only play the multiplayer side of things. The Titanfall 2 campaign was made for the Titanfall 1 players. The Titanfall 2 multiplayer, it could be comparable. It could be better. People could enjoy it just as much. But they're not going to try it because it's releasing within a week of their guaranteed spend on Call of Duty. By a similar token, people have just spent, what, 50, 60, 70 pounds or something on Battlefield 1, depending on the package you went for, maybe you wanted early access or any of the special edition bollocks that it comes with. And then a week later, you're asking them to spend another 50 quid on another game that demands time to grind and unlock and do all of that stuff? It's not going to happen. Titanfall 2 was doomed to sell at a mediocre level at best because it was positioned to directly compete with the two biggest releases of at least this part of the year, if not the year as a whole. You know full well that Call of Duty vs Battlefield has been like a war that's raged for years and years at this point. And every year someone says, well, Battlefield's going to beat Call of Duty this time. It never does, but this has gone on for as long as I can remember. You know, these two franchises are at odds with each other. Battlefield has taken itself in a different direction, which is great. But what EA have tried to do is they've tried to intrude on Call of Duty. They've tried to push in to Call of Duty's fanbase. They've tried to get a hold of the people who buy Call of Duty by releasing Titanfall 2 around the same time as Call of Duty. Because I'm sure the logic is, people buy Battlefield 1 or people buy Titanfall 2. I keep trying to say Titanfield 2. Or they buy both. That's great. The people who do this, they then won't buy Call of Duty. But that's massively underestimating the number of people who will only buy Call of Duty. Who are not interested in the fact that Battlefield's gone World War 1. They're not interested in the giant mech side of Titanfall 2. What they want, well, they want the new Call of Duty. That's what they've always wanted. That's what they've been locked into for years. And I feel really bad, I genuinely feel bad for the fact that Titanfall 2 seems to be, by all accounts, underperforming in terms of sales. From everything I've read, and as someone who loved Titanfall 1, I played Titanfall to a ridiculous degree, and I do intend on getting Titanfall 2. But funnily enough, I just bought Civilization 6. I just bought Battlefield 1, and I need to buy Dishonored 2. That's like, what, that's like 120 quid? Much like most of the world, I'm not made of money. I cannot afford, literally, to buy Titanfall 2. And that's the same for a lot of people. They need to make a choice. Not everyone can sit there and just buy every big game that comes out. And this time of year is rife with big titles. I mean, I just named a few. Well, we've named like 5 massive ones. Titanfall 2, maybe not massive. Could have been massive, but we named 4 big ones. I mean, Civ 6, Battlefield 1, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and Dishonored 2, all coming out within like a month span of each other. That's a huge amount of money on video games if you're going to buy all of those. And then you add Titanfall 2 into the mix. You're going to have to make a choice. And I'm willing to bet that a lot of people looked at it and made their choice. And their choice was, oh, I'll pick it up later. See, I don't think Titanfall 2 is dead. I think that probably, maybe come a couple of months down the line, when things start to slow down around Christmas time, they may well start getting like more custom. If they can keep the push up, if they can introduce maybe a couple of free weekends or something, they could salvage Titanfall 2's launch and they could make it a very successful title. But releasing it the way I have, releasing it the way they have, I feel like they've attempted to kind of perform a small invasion of Call of Duty's fans, and all they've really done is made it so that a title with promise is just not doing as well as it could. And that's always a shame to see, especially when it's something that I feel is actually very promising. Not just in terms of the way it looks and the reviews it's got, but also policies towards DLC and stuff like that. I mean, there's no paid for DLC for Titanfall 2. All the map packs and updates and stuff, they're all going to be free. That's a really good thing to market. It's not being marketed though, is it? Battlefield 1's being marketed. Call of Duty's being marketed by Activision to, you know, fight back against Battlefield 1. They're fighting for their market share of the people who buy first-person shooters on a yearly basis. Titanfall 2's just got lost in the mix. It's just sort of been stampeded. It's just been trampled under. And it's a real shame, because I think it could have become, like, the third big franchise. EA could have had something on their hands here, where they have got two Call of Duty rivals that come out, maybe not every year for Titanfall, but you know, they've got a big title every couple of years that really shakes things up. But as a result of when it's been released, it's not shook anything up. It's just sort of not gone anywhere. And that's a real pity. The question is, though, when would be the best time to release Titanfall 2? Frankly, with the number of games that come out every year now, between, you know, your indie darling titles and your big AAA releases, and between the various publishers, you know, I mean, we haven't even talked about Ubisoft at the moment, but between Ubisoft, EA, Activision, you've got three very big companies pushing out a serious number of games on a very regular basis. When would it have been best to release Titanfall 2 as opposed to a week after Battlefield and a week before Call of Duty? I honestly don't know. I don't know if there is an easy answer to that. There probably isn't. But what I do know, or at least what I do truly believe, is that by releasing it when they have, they've done the game a massive disservice. And it's really not very fair. But that's just... I'd be interested to hear what you think about this, because I was looking forward to this game. But like so many other people, I can't justify buying it right now, and I've got to wait, which is a real pity. But what about you? Have you looked at it? Did you decide not to buy Battlefield to get Titanfall? Did you decide not to buy Call of Duty to get Titanfall? Did you look at Titanfall and go, well, yeah, but look at all the other games coming out round about now. I can't get this as well. I'd love to know what you think about this in the comments, because it's a kind of weird but slightly sad situation whereby I think a title that actually had a huge amount of potential hasn't been given the start it deserves. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I always read them, as you know. And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Toodaloo.